Hello, welcome to 11.1, day 2. Here's your problem today. We're going to cut our problem right down the middle. We are going to distribute that -7 to both terms on the inside. So we got -7 times 1 gives me -7, and -7 times +4 gives me -28, n equals -147. Okay, next I am going to get rid of any number that is around the n, which the first one is at -7. The opposite of -7 is +7. Do that to both sides. Now I got -28, n equals 147 plus 7. There are different signs. I'm going to subtract. 147 minus 7 is 140. Keep the sign a larger number, so it's going to be 140. Next, I got to get n all by itself, and I am going to do that by dividing both sides by -28. Divide by -28. Over here, I'm left with n equals, I now need a calculator, 140 divided by 28 is 5. And a negative divided by a negative gets me a positive, so n is going to equal 5. Okay, there's your example. Again, the only new thing we're practicing this week is that distributive property. Everything else you've done before, so please take this time now to do this on your own. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you cut your problem down the middle and you have distributed this +4 to both numbers, both terms on the inside. 4 times 8 is 32, and then positive times a negative is a negative. Plus 4 times 7 is 28r equals -172. Okay, now I got to get this term by itself, so I got to get rid of this +32. So I'm going to add 32 to both sides, add 32. These cancel out. I am left with 28r equals, so I have different signs over here, so I'm going to end up subtracting. So 2 minus 2 is 0. 7 minus 3 is 4. And bring down the ones, we -140. Last but not least, I am going to be dividing. Hey, look at that. It's the same thing as I did over here. So I'm going to be dividing by 28 to get rid of that. Divide by 28, and as I did in the first problem, 140 divided by 28, it's going to get me 5. So if you got a +5, great job. You did it. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a little more algebra with yesterday's lesson. So we're going to be solving for the angle measures when parallel lines are cut by a transversal. So in our steps, we first got to identify if the angles, the set of angles they give us, are they going to be congruent to each other, meaning are they going to be equal to each other, or do we have to put them both on one side and have them equal 180. So congruent means they're the same. Supplementary angles just means 180 degrees. All right, so congruent equal, or they add up to 180. Then we're going to set up the equation, solve for x, and often, or more often than not, we are going to have to substitute that x back in to the original angles to see how much each angle is. So here we go. Now, if you remember from yesterday, there was only one set of angles that equal 180. Only one set of angles that equal 180. And those are same side interior angles. So let's put same side interior. So when we see that they're on the same side of the transversal and both of them are inside of our hamburger, those are going to equal 180. And what do you know? Look at this. Bam, bam. They're both on the same side of the transversal. They are both inside my hamburger. These are going to be my supplementary angles, and they're going to add up to 180. So what I have to do is I have to take these. Let's pick any more color options. We're going to pick... So we're going to set both of these up and make them equal to 180. So I'm going to take 6x plus 3x, and they are going to equal 180 degrees. And now, just like your problem today, I just need to solve for x. We did this last week. What is 6x plus 3x? Because I can combine those because they have the same variable. 6 plus 3 gets me 9, and I have 9 x's now, equals 180. Now I need to get x all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 9. I am left with x on this side. X equals 180 divided by 9. If you get rid of the 0, what's 18 divided by 9? Is a 2. And add the 0 back, so 20. So our value of x is 20, so x equals 20. Now they want us to find what the measure, so this foreign language to you, it says measure angle VWZ. So VWZ, they want to know what the measure of this one is. What is that? So 3x. Well, we know x is 20. So it's 3 instead of x, and we put parentheses and put 20 because we know what x is now. What's 3 times 20? Gets you 60. So measure of VWZ right here is, what did I say, 60. 60 degrees. Okay, now they want the measure of WVY. So WVY, the one that's in the middle, they want this angle. So it's 6x. So now instead of writing 6x, I'm going to put 6 times 20 because we figured out what x was. So 6 times 20 gets us 120. And so the angle up here is 120 degrees. So if we were to add 120 plus 60, they both add up to 180. 6 plus 2 is 8, so 180. All right, so that is probably one of the harder ones. Is to remember to set it up to 180. The trick today is to make sure, so if you see that they're on the same side and they're inside your hamburger, they're going to be equal to 180. Everything else you get is you're going to set them equal to each other. So I'm going to do this one. I don't think you'll see too many of these with 4 different terms on them. I'm going to show you it as an example, so that way you have a harder one done as an example. So remember I said anything else, they're going to be set equal to each other because they're just going to be congruent. So they are both on the inside of my hamburger, yes. But are they both on the same side of the transversal? No, these are called alternate, because they're on different sides, alternate interior, because they're inside my hamburger, angles, since these are going to be equal to each other. So I'm literally going to basically do this. So I'm going to set it up as 5x minus 54 equals 3x plus 16. And now just like your problem of the day, we're just going to solve for x. So we need to get the variables to one side. So remember we did this a month ago. I'm going to subtract or get rid of the smaller variable. So this one's smaller. So I'm going to subtract 3x, subtract 3x, 5x minus 3x's. We now have 2x, and we're going to bring everything else I didn't touch down. So minus 54 equals 16 because those canceled out. All right, now I got to get rid of that 54. I'll change color. That 54, so I'm going to add 54 plus 54. Okay, these cancel out. I am left with 2x equals, all right, 6 plus 4 is 10, 0, 5, and 1 is 7, so we got 70. And then we're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals 70 divided by 2. 70 divided by 2 is 35. So now we figured out what x is. X equals 35. Now, to figure out what the measure, now that's not how big this angle is though, because you see, we just figured out what x is. There's other stuff on here. So the measure, let's figure out what this measure is. To figure out what the angle of this one is. And then once we figure out one, we're going to know what the other one is because they're congruent. They're supposed to be the same. So actually, I want to do this one. So 3x, and we said x is 35. So we're going to do 3 times 35. So I'm going to write it up here. 3 times 35 plus 16. So now you just all calculator work. I'm going to type in the calculator. 35 times 3 gets me 105 plus 16. And then I'm going to add 16 to that. gets me 121. So the angle, this angle is 121. And since they are congruent to each other, that means this one is also 121. But if you don't believe me, we could do 5x, 5 times x, which is 5 times 35. So in the calculator, 5 times 35 gets me 175. And minus 54. So 175 minus 54 gets me 121. If you don't believe me, you can type in your own calculator, but they are equal to each other. And so that's how you figure out the measure. It's a lot of algebra mixed with some geometry going on. Okay, I think maybe we try to squeeze in one more example. Yes, yes. These are all 180s. Okay, we can do one more 180 one, I guess. All right, so we got 4x and 5x. They are on the same side. They are inside my hamburger, and they are on the same side of the transversal. So we're going to set these up equal to 180. 180. Okay, now if this 5x was over here, they would not be equal to 180 because one is on the inside, one is on the outside. These are called corresponding angles, and these would be equal to each other. So because they are on the both inside, both of them are inside my hamburger, and they are both on the same side of the transversal, they are equal to 180. So I'm going to do 4x plus 5x equals 180. Now, you always add these together. Okay, there is no subtracting. You're always adding them together. So we got 4x plus 5x equals 180. 4x plus 5x gets me 9x. And that's what we already did. We already do this. Oh, we did 6 plus 3 got me 9. Okay. 5 plus 4 gets me 9 equals 180. Divide by 9, x equals 20, like I did it earlier. So now, to figure out what this measure is, 5 times 20, 5 times 2 is 10. Add a 0 is 100, so this is going to be 100. And 4 times 20, 4 times 2 is 8. Add the 0 is 80, so 4 times 20 is 80. And 100 plus 80 is 180, so this problem is done. So we figured out measure angle TWV. TWV is 100. And the measure of SVW in the middle right there is 80. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. The main thing to figure out is you got to figure out if it's congruent or supplementary. And like I said, if they are inside your hamburger and the same side of the transversal, they are going to be set to 180. Anything else, they're set equal to each other. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.